Hey everybody, I'm Donovan Smith. This is the second video for the masterclass on building your worship sets in Ableton Live. If you haven't already checked out my first video, in that video we covered how to build templates for all of your songs. So you'll be able to find the link to that in the description below. In this class, we're gonna learn how to take those templates that we learned how to build and how to build out your entire set for your worship experience. So let's go ahead and dive right in. For this class, we're gonna be discussing how to take all those song templates and build out an entire session, changing keys, changing tempos. We're gonna go over all of that in this class right now. Okay, let's dive right in. So the moment you open up Ableton, it automatically opens up to this default, I guess I would say like a workflow, which includes 2 MIDI tracks, 2 audio tracks, and then 2 sends, a reverb and a delay. Go ahead and start off by deleting the reverb and delay sends, because I mean, you don't necessarily need that to build tracks. And then we can also get rid of these. Ableton has to have at least 1 track present, so it won't let you delete this last clip, which is totally fine. So now in this workflow, we're gonna be dragging and dropping tracks quickly. The whole point of this is to create a rhythm where we can drop and drag tracks quickly, especially in situations if a worship leader changes a song last minute. You don't wanna be, panicking, on stage. Everyone's watching you. Trust me, I've been there. Those are not fun situations. So to make it easy to drag and drop tracks in, go to the little side downward facing triangle here. Click that, it opens up this sidebar. So now what we want to do is we want to create a custom folder on the side here that contains all of our tracks. So hopefully you have your hard drive plugged in with all of your templates that you've built. And then once your hard drive is plugged in, go ahead and go to add folder and select your hard drive. And then I have 2 folders in my hard drive. One is for tracks that I use on the regular, and then one is for Phil Wickham and all of his stuff as well. But for this, we're gonna go ahead and click the multi-track folder that I built. So again, I made this and I dropped all of my templates in this folder. Once that's selected, I'm gonna click open. And so the benefit of this is now you don't have to go searching and hunting down your hard drive. You created a little folder here, and all of your tracks that are on your hard drive will automatically show up here. It makes it super easy to drag and drop tracks in. Okay, so let's say, we just got out of a worship department meeting and the worship leader or pastor says, okay, this week we're gonna do Glorious Day in the key of D, Christ Be Magnified in the key of A, Homecoming in B flat, and then Living Hope in the key of C. Okay, it's in Planning Center, everyone's ready to go, and it's your job to build the tracks out for this. Okay, so before we start dragging and dropping songs in, we are going to want to create locators to be able to just kind of place markers throughout the session to see where we want to drop the songs. So I do that by hovering in this little area here, right clicking or control clicking, depending if you're using a mouse or if you're just using your laptop, and go to add locator. And then before I place this locator, I'm gonna go ahead and name it. So I'm gonna put 1, and I'm gonna put the first song of the set, which is Glorious Day. And then I also put the key that we're doing it in, so that I know what was talked about in the meeting. That way I'm not confused, because when you drag in your templates, they're gonna be in the key that you originally created the template in. So if I created the template in C#, and I drag it in, it's going to be in C#. I'm going to want to remember what key we're doing it in. I like to put the key signature in the title here. So once that's done, I'm gonna drag that all the way to the playhead here, okay? And then I'm going to create my second song or locator, which is gonna be, according to the set list, Christ Be Magnified. Continue doing that till you have all the song locators ready to go. Okay, once that's done, we're going to want to space these out, because as we're dropping in the tracks, they are going to drop in at the length or duration that they are time-wise. So sometimes when I drop songs in and I don't space these out, the locator for the song 2 will be overlapping with the song. So maybe it's just a personal preference thing, but I like to space these out as far as I can to give room for the tracks that I am dropping in. So once those are all spaced out, I'm now going to drag in the songs. So now I can go to the little folder that we just created a second ago with all of our tracks in there from the hard drive. And then I can either search for it here, or I can go to the search bar here and I can type in Glorious Day. And then it's gonna show up right here. I'm gonna find the song and I'm gonna hit the little drop down arrow right here. And then in here in the folder, you have your backup, your multi-tracks, samples, what we're going after is the session file, which is going to be this little upright document looking thing here. You're going to grab this little page icon here, and you're going to drag that into your set, just like that. In that previous track that Ableton wouldn't allow you to delete earlier, you can now go ahead and do that. After you've dropped that in, let's go ahead and check the key to make sure that it's good. So we're doing Glorious Day in the key of D.
Chorus.
So make sure that's in the key of D. You could use a guitar or you could use a piano or whatever for tonal reference. For me, I use this little app. Key of D, cool. So that song is good to go. Next, this is a very important part, transitions. Now, every church is different. Some churches love transitions to be super tight and perfect. Some churches love the space. It just depends on what the dynamic is that, you know, your worship pastor, your pastor is going for in these moments in between songs. So for the sake of this video, we're going to go ahead and make this a super nice, tight transition, okay? So we're going to take this locator of Christ Be Magnified, and again, wherever you place the locator is where the song is going to start. A lot of times I like to imagine where the song ends and just trying to imagine kind of what that flow is going to be like. So if I were to take the outro of Glorious Day, ending 2, 3, 4, big crash out, worship leaders like, come on church, are you excited to be here today? Ah. And by that time, the next song will start right here. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm thinking it's going to go. So let's go ahead and drag in Christ Be Magnified. When you drag in your second song, no matter where you place it, it's always going to drag itself in directly underneath track 1. So first thing we're going to do as we drag in other songs, we're going to take the tempo, master tempo, the guide, and the markers, and we're going to want to put that all on one channel. Reason being is because if you ever need more guide, you don't want to be mixing several different faders for several different guide channels. It's awesome to have one guide, one master tempo, one place for markers, just to make it look super clean and to not be confusing at all when you're in the moment. So I'm going to take the tempo, guide, and the markers, and I'm going to drag them onto the same channel strips as the very first songs, tempo, guide, and markers. Okay, except I'm not quite done yet because I need to line it up with the locator. This is very, very important. So you can zoom in by hovering over this little section here with the magnifying glass, just like that. And then I'm gonna make sure that this is right on the playhead, just like that, right on the locator. Okay, so those are done. Now we have to do the same exact thing for the tracks. For the tracks, we won't put them on the same channel strip as the other songs because we want the songs to be individual. So we don't want the click guide and master tempo to be individual because we need them on the same channel strip. However, for tracks, you're gonna want individual control of each song's dynamics. So with that said, we're just gonna drag them over to the playhead just like this. See how I couldn't get it right on there, so we're going to zoom in and drag it in. Go ahead and delete the empty channels here. We don't need them anymore. So now at this point your session should be looking super clean, just like this, right? Okay, so we're plowing right through here. So we have Glorious Day D, Christ Be Magnified, and then you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other songs as well. So just a quick note, let's say you get into a situation where the key that your template is in does not match the key you want to do it for the weekend. For example, the original key for Homecoming is actually the key of C, but we do it in B flat here at Harvest. Make sure that the little sub window down here is open. You could do that by double clicking on any of the tracks. It'll just open up here at the bottom. What we're gonna do is we're gonna select every single tonal instrument. So anything with a melody or anything with a key, like a pitch. And we're going to select, so for example, the drums, percussion, and effects do not have a pitch as far as this song goes. Some of them do. That's just more complicated. But for now, we're gonna start with the bass and go all the way down to the choir. So once it's selected, we're gonna go down to this little section down here. We're gonna go to this transpose section here, okay? So there's two ways you can do this. You can either drag it like this, okay? Or you can click on the dial and then use the cursors to do more precise changes. If the song originally is in the key of C, but we are doing it in the key of B flat, we need to go down 2 semitones. That's 2 steps. And then just to double check and make sure it's good. This is our homecoming. Check. Another thing that you may run into is the click track and the time signature. Now, this is something that gives a lot of people who are operating Ableton headaches. For example, Homecoming is in 6/8, but if you look at the very beginning here, Glorious Day, we have it set to 4/4 here. So if you listen to it, you're going to hear the time is going to be way off. Yeah, so that's not good. So what you're gonna do, it's really easy to change the time signature. All you're gonna do is hover over the locator, okay? And you can right click or press control click. And then you're gonna go to insert time signature change. Okay, so for here it's in 6/8. So you can do 6/8, which now will have the new
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Beautiful. Another situation you may run into is the speeding up or slowing down of a song. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and go to Christ Be Magnified, second song here. Okay, so again, in the first video, we learned how to make a master tempo or a leader track. That's what it's called in Ableton, leader and follower. This is your leader track. Everything else is your follower track. Okay, so that's all the stems, the guide, everything else. Okay, so once this is set to your leader track, you can go down to this section right here, and then you could actually speed up the song BPM right here. So right now we're at 72 BPM. Let's say, you know, the worship leader is like, hey, can we do it in 80? Which is, that's never happened before, but hey, you never know. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here. Right now we're at 72. We're gonna type in 80, enter, just like that, okay? And then what you have to do is sometimes Ableton just needs to be not reset, but just it needs to be reconfigured whenever you change tempo. So I like to think of it as like Ableton has to relatch itself onto the new master tempo to read it better. I'm not sure that's the correct terminology for what it's doing, but that's just kind of how I've experienced it. So I relatch Ableton to the tempo by toggling this a couple times. Okay, so I'll turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, maybe once or twice. I don't think you need to do it more than once, but just to be safe. And then once you do that, as you can see now, the tempo changed to 80 from 72. This right here, again, if you watch my first video, this right here is merely a display. Okay, so this does not change the function or the performance of the track at all. It's merely to tell me, the person building the tracks, what the song tempo is. So you could change that easily by renaming it, right clicking on a mouse or control clicking on your laptop. Rename, and then now the new tempo is now 80. Cool, and we could just test that out to make sure it's good. All right, guys, well, that concludes today's video. I'm actually gonna have another one posted up here pretty quick, maybe within the next week or so. In the next video, we'll go over routing and interfaces and how to send all of your audio tracks to front of house. And that video, I'm gonna shoot to have that available sometime within the next week or so. So thanks again for watching. Feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know if this video has helped you in any way in your process of building out tracks. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.